Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Guess what we're doing today?
Well, we're starting a new book of the Bible.
We are!
What is it?
It's what I like to call Ezekiel.
No.
Ezekiel.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
EZK?
No.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're starting a new book of the Bible, which is Ezekiel.
Indeed. I kind of threw you off with that, yeah?
Yeah. So do you have anything to say before we get into this, or are we just hopping in?
Just want to let you know ahead of time up front.
Yeah?
I think this book is going to be fucking wild.
Wild, huh?
Wild.
I think that's the first time I've heard you use that descriptor for a book of the Bible. So.
I'm not saying good or bad, just wild.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm kind of excited now.
As well you should be.
All right. You ready to do this?
I am, yes.
Let's get into it.
Okie dokie. All right. So we are hopping into Ezekiel.
Oh.
Okay.
God.
Ezekiel Chapter 1. See, the second that you tell me that something annoys you, I feel obligated.
I know you do.
To go with it.
I know you do. I don't even have to tell you. You just have to glean it for yourself.
For those keeping track at home, that was husband rolling his eyes at me, the sound thereof.
Also, the second I tell you not to do something is the second that you double down and do it harder and more.
Yes.
So.
And it's almost like you forget. It's like you don't even know me.
Well, sometimes I feel like I could have a rational conversation with you about it.
Like an adult one?
Yeah. But then that doesn't ever work out correctly.
Ever.
Yeah.
No. All right. So Ezekiel Chapter 1 is about a prophet and his divine vision.
Let me guess. His name's Ezekiel?
Yeah. And he has a divine vision. Okay.
Okay.
And in the one that we're reading, the version that we're reading, it's subtitled Ezekiel's Vision of God. But in other versions, it's subtitled Ezekiel's Inaugural Vision.
Okay.
And so there's an argument about which fits better, I guess, even though the first verse refers to visions plural.
Okay.
So
all right.
That would, let you think that
strike that it's not just the first one.
It's not just the one
collection of.
Yeah. So before I get into reading this, I just wanted to tell us a little bit about who this guy is and what this book's about.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first 3 verses form a superscription of the book, and they contain the identity of the prophet as well as the time and place that the prophecy was received and delivered.
Okay.
Now, having read some of the notes, I would be less inclined to call this a prophecy and more a vision. But I'm just going to put that out there. You do with that as you will, and maybe we'll come back to that at the end, and you tell me what you think.
Okay. All right. Okay? Yeah.
There are 2 distinct introductions. Verse 1 is in first person, and it's where he introduces himself. Hey, yo, my name's Ezekiel. What up? Right?
Got it. Yeah.
And then verses 2 and 3 are the only 2 verses in this entire book written in third person. It's like somebody interrupted and was like, oh, hey, here's the year and whatever.
Got it.
Okay.
Someone felt that was really important later on, probably.
Yeah, I think because there was some confusion in verse 1, the way he says it.
Okay.
So let's just start the book now, and then I'll pause as we go through.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So Ezekiel Chapter 1. In my 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day, while I was among the exiles by the Kebar River, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God.
Okay.
Now, he says in this verse, in my 30th year.
Yeah.
But most translations say in the 30th year.
Of the exile?
Of what?
Right.
That's the question. Nobody
Yeah.
knows, like, are you saying the 30th year of your life, which this translation assumes?
Sure.
So they changed it to my 30th year. Or are you saying the 30th year of somebody's reign or the exile or like what?
Okay.
So that's why we're going to continue on and somebody clarifies.
Okay. Yeah.
So now we're starting verse 2 and then from there. Okay?
Sure.
On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Joachim. The word of the Lord came to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, by the Kabar River in the land of the Babylonians. There the hand of the Lord was upon him.
So this sounds like he is one of the ones that got exiled earlier on and is out there in Babylon, right? Is that maybe correct?
That is actually 100% correct.
Okay.
And so now I'm going to read you a few notes about this with regard to placing it in time.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been suggested from verse 1 where Ezekiel says in the 30th year, and we don't know if it's the 30th or my 30th.
Yeah.
It's been suggested that the date that he's citing corresponds to July 24th, 568 BCE. But that doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
Okay. So going forward, we have some notes that indicate Ezekiel was probably born sometime between 622 to 627.
Okay.
And thus likely grew up during the reform years of King Josiah. And King Josiah reigned from 640 to 609. Okay. So, and then he was born right in the middle of that.
Got it. Yeah.
So Ezekiel had already been in Babylon 5 years and was now 30 years old, the age at which he normally would have begun his priestly services in the temple in Jerusalem. But he's not in Jerusalem.
Right.
So
he's in exile.
He's in exile.
Okay.
Okay. And so then I've got a little timeline here. Okay.
Sure.
Just to put everything into context.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 640, Josiah takes the throne. He's king. Okay.
Okay.
Sometime between 627 and 622, Ezekiel is born.
Okay.
Okay. And then in 609, Josiah's son Jehoahaz is briefly named king, but he's replaced by Joachim at the order of Necho of Egypt.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Then in 605, Jerusalem was attacked and captives were taken to Babylon. Ezekiel's not in that group.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
In 598, Jeconiah becomes king.
Okay.
In 597, Zedekiah becomes king, and he was the final one.
Okay.
Okay. Jerusalem was attacked, treasure taken from the temple, and more captives taken to Babylon, including Ezekiel and his wife. Okay.
Got it. Well, wasn't you skipped one? I thought Joachim was right before Zedekiah.
Joachim and Jeconiah are the same person.
Okay. All right.
So,
Got
yeah.
it.
I didn't realize that until I was doing these notes, that one is the biblical name and one is the common name.
Okay.
But they're the same guy. So
it's
you're not
confusing
wrong.
because you said something about Joachim or Joaquin. Which one is it? The Joachim or Joaquin? Okay.
The one
so
with
you said something about him when you were talking about Ezekiel just a minute ago. So and then we skipped it as to like that was one of the people that they had exiled. So, I was just curious.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeconiah is Joaquin.
Okay.
Okay. And so he became king in 598, but that was real short.
Right.
Okay. And then so in 597, Zedekiah became king.
But it sounded like Ezekiel got exiled with Joaquin or Jeconiah.
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
No.
All right.
When Zedekiah became king, Jerusalem was attacked, treasure was taken from the temple, and more captives, this is the second wave,
Okay.
were taken to Babylon, and that wave included Ezekiel and his wife.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
And then in 593 is when Ezekiel has his vision.
Okay.
Okay? And then in 587, Jerusalem falls, and almost everyone remaining in the kingdom was exiled. Zedekiah, the last king of Judah, is blinded and imprisoned.
Sure.
Okay? So we have a better sense of what's
Where
going on.
it is and what's going on, right?
So the verse And verses 2 and 3, like I said, they're not Ezekiel's. They're an added interruption, and we don't know who did that.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So let me go back now, and we're going to just continue on.
Okay.
So we've read the first 3 verses and already had tons of notes, but I felt like it was important to understand how this all fit together.
Set the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting into his vision. Ready?
I'm ready.
I looked and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures.
Whoa.
In appearance, their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. What?
This guy needs to lay off the drugs.
Right?
Yeah.
Their legs were straight. Their feet were like those of a calf and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings. And the wings of one touched the wings of another.
Okay.
Each one went straight ahead. They did not turn as they moved. Their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side, each had the face of a lion, and on the left side, the face of an ox, and each also had the face of an eagle.
This is kind of crazy.
Right?
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know, but four people.
4-faced things flying at you.
4 people each had 4 faces.
Okay.
Okay?
And different animals. And man, this guy's on some good shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Such were their faces. They each had 2 wings spreading out upward, each wing touching that of the creature on either side, and each had 2 other wings covering its body.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Each one went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go without turning as they went. So they're like all together one unit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
The appearance of the living creatures was like burning coals of fire or like torches. Fire moved back and forth among the creatures. It was bright and lightning flashed out of it.
Wow.
The creature.
It sounds like a storm.
It sounds like
Maybe.
something.
And drugs. It sounds like a storm and drugs.
A storm of drugs.
Maybe.
It's raining drugs over here.
Yeah.
The creature sped back and forth like flashes of lightning.
But you mean it's because they were lightning?
Probably. I was reading the notes and I was like, what is happening?
Right.
As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. Okay, we're going to describe the wheels. Yes, are you ready for this?
I guess.
They sparkled like topaz.
Wow.
And all 4 looked alike.
Damn.
Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel.
Because everything touches in his visions, apparently.
They all
the
had-
wings and the wheels.
They have wheels within wheels.
And wings within wings.
As they moved, they
and
would...
faces within faces.
Right, exactly.
It's all just combined.
It's so meta.
Yeah.
As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change directions as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome.
they had the lift kits.
And all 4 rims were full of eyes all around.
What is wrong with this guy? What the fuck is going on? I'm a little bit confused. I'm not just a little bit confused. I'm like, what is happening here?
This is the Bible. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but what the everlasting fuck?
Yeah, no, this is crazy.
When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go. And the wheels would rise along with them. Because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're talking about a living creature. There's been no mention of God yet. Like,
we're getting there.
What kind of vision is this?
We're getting there.
Oh my God.
When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still. And when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them.
So all the things moved together, okay?
Because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. It was in the wheels. Do you hear me?
Why is this in the Bible?
Just listen.
What the fuck is this?
Listen with an open heart. You have to open your heart, okay?
Okay.
Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked like something like a vault.
A vault, huh?
Sparkling like crystal and awesome.
Because the topaz wheels with eyeballs wasn't awesome enough?
Now we've got a vault
that was
made of
sparkling.
diamonds.
Okay.
Under the vault, their wings were stretched out one toward the other, and each had 2 wings covering its body. You know, you said that already.
Yeah, okay.
When the creatures moved, I heard the sound of their wings, like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty.
Oh.
Like the tumult of an army.
Okay, but don't you wonder how he heard the sound of the wings when they were touching each other the whole time?
I don't know how it works.
How did they wing? How did they do the wing shit?
I'm not magic.
While touching each other.
So I don't know. It's magic.
But it sounded like the Lord, huh?
It's in the Bible.
The wings sounded like the Lord? The Lord?
The word of the Lord.
The word of the Lord, yeah.
When they stood still, they lowered their wings. When there came a voice from the vault over their heads as they stood with lowered wings.
Oh.
Here we go. Ready?
I'm ready.
The voice, right?
This has got to be God.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is one hell of a vision.
I told you that this book was going to be crazy.
Something's crazy. That's for sure.
Above the vault, over their heads, was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli.
Oh, man.
And high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man.
Okay.
I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal.
Wow. Not in the image of man, but glowing metal. Okay.
As if full of fire.
And fire.
Mm-hmm.
Fire and metal. Okay.
And that from there down, he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day.
Maybe this guy looked at the sun too long. I don't know what's going on here, but this is craziness.
So was the radiance around him.
Okay.
This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. So it's not the Lord, it's a likeness of the Lord. Because, you know, we can't see the Lord with our bare human little stupid puny eyeballs.
So there's a likeness of the Lord in the sky.
In a vault.
In a vault above crazy ass angels that with four heads and wheels that have topaz
eyeballs
and eyeballs in them or something. Okay.
When I saw it, I fell face down.
I suppose I might if I saw that.
And I heard the voice of one speaking.
Okay.
The end.
Oh, just
chapter 1. Yes.
This is our introduction to Ezekiel.
That's why I was like, this book is gonna be wild. Okay, now I have some notes.
Okay.
And I gotta read you these notes. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So this description where he says the appearance of the wheels and how they looked alike and the wheel was intersecting the wheel.
Yes.
This becomes the inspiration for the construction of the Ezekiel airship. And
what the fuck? Okay.
Yes.
What is happening?
Yes. We have to talk about this. This is a rabbit hole. And
sorry, guys.
I was like, we gotta get to this airship. Okay?
Okay.
The Ezekiel airship was an early experimental aircraft conceived, designed, and built by the Baptist minister Burrell Cannon. Of course, his name was Burrell. An experienced sawmill operator born in 1848 in Coffeyville, Mississippi.
Okay. All right.
Inspired by and named after the book of Ezekiel, the craft's design featured 4 wheel-within-a-wheel paddle wheels powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine. There are unverified claims that it was flown in 1902 in Pittsburgh, Texas, a year before the Wright Flyer flew at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And that's a little personal because, you know, the Wright brothers came from Ohio.
Yeah.
So
right. In fact, our hometown, Dayton. Yeah.
In the presence of only a handful of witnesses, the aircraft is alleged to have flown approximately 160 feet at a height of between 10 and 12 feet. There is, of course, no physical physical evidence that such a flight ever took place, and most historians have generally discounted any claims that the airship ever flew.
Okay.
The original aircraft was destroyed in a storm near Texarkana en route to St. Louis for the 1904 World's Fair.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cannon had accepted a challenge extended by the organizers of the World's Fair, promising $100,000 back then.
Damn.
That would be equivalent to over $35 million today.
Yeah.
So they were offering that to anyone who could make a sustained controlled flight in St. Louis at that World Fair. And so it, got destroyed on the way.
Yeah.
And then in 1922, Cannon's original plans were destroyed in a fire.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This all sounds very convenient.
Well, it's been reconstructed and is now in a museum in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So you can go see it.
Yeah.
Burrell Cannon has been described as a Renaissance man in an industrial age. Cannon had a strong command of engineering principles, and he held patents for 6 different inventions, including designs ranging from marine propellers to windmills to cameras. This guy was a tinkerer. He was a flim-flam man, in my opinion. He apparently spoke 8 different languages and did his preaching on the side before moving into tinkering and inventing.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we've got that. That's he built that based on the description in the Bible.
Right.
And that it's a known thing. It's just a thing that we talk about. It's the Ezekiel airship,
I didn't know anything about it until just now.
The Ezekiel airship. But that's not all.
That was very modern compared to that's not anything to do with the Bible.
No, it just was a fun rabbit hole.
Okay, all right.
I got another one. Ready?
Okay.
Let's talk about the spaceships of Ezekiel.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a book called The Spaceships of Ezekiel, and it's a book by German engineer Joseph F. Blumrich, and it was published in 1974. And it's about a spaceship that was supposedly observed by the prophet Ezekiel as described in the book of Ezekiel in the Tanakh.
That's funny. I just was listening to a podcast where they were talking about Tucker Carlson. Actually, it was The Thinking Atheist. So I was listening to that podcast. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how Tucker Carlson mentioned that Ezekiel saw a spaceship because they were talking about UFOs and God. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it was... Anyway, apparently there's some thoughts that Ezekiel saw a UFO.
Well, this guy, Blumrich, he asserts that the account of Ezekiel in the Bible was not a description of a meeting with God and a prophetic vision, but one of several encounters with ancient astronauts in a shuttlecraft from another planet. Blumrich wrote it while working in NASA's Program Development Office.
Okay.
He worked for fucking NASA.
Yeah.
The book is rated 3.43 on Goodreads, but I couldn't get it from my library. I'd have to order a physical copy.
Right.
Because it's that.
So maybe what happened to Ezekiel is actually just like a close encounter. Is that is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Okay. Drugs and a close encounter?
Sure.
That's what I'm thinking anyway.
Now, question. We haven't heard the God-like image, whatever. We haven't heard him speak yet. That's in coming chapters.
Right. I'm excited about that.
But was this a vision or a prophecy?
I mean, it seems like a vision.
That's what I thought.
Like, this seems too crazy for a dream. Like, why would you tell anybody this dream?
Right?
That just sounds nuts. You would have to have seen this in order to, like, you would have to, if you... I don't know. You would have to have seen this. Because it's just too fucking nuts.
If I came home and I told you, honey, I saw this thing. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen. And then I told you about it. You would look at me like I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and you would call the men in white coats to come get me because you would be like, you done flipped your lid and gone too far.
And I wouldn't call the people to come get you, but I would definitely question.
You would be concerned.
What the hell is going on?
You would be like, your mental health has never been great. Have you finally lost your goddamn mind? And if we saw this together, we would both be like, what the fuck did we just see? Mm-hmm. And I don't think we would try to tell people because then we'd be
too crazy.
We'd be labeled as flim-flams ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd want to find out what I saw. If I saw something, I'd be like, I saw something. but then I'd be like, what the fuck was it? Because that can't be correct.
Remember when we saw zombies falling from the sky?
We saw lights.
Yeah.
We didn't see zombies.
Okay, but they were zombies.
They turned out to be zombies, which is a whole other story. But like, yeah, we saw lights that were like circling and then lining up, and it turned out that it was a place that was like 6 or 7 miles from us that was having skydiving.
It was like
nighttime.
It was Land of Illusion, right?
Yeah.
And they were, they were doing a Halloween
skydiving thing with skydiving zombies with torches. Yeah. So that's what we saw.
But they had neglected to tell anybody, so everybody was like calling the police like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is happening?
Right.
Oh, just zombies falling out of the sky, no bigs.
Yeah.
Like if I would have seen one of those, I'd have lost my shit.
But I'm more inclined to think that there is a explanation for it than not. So me
and your brother, we were like, well, it's the end of the world, I guess. And you were running inside to go call the meteorology people to be like, okay, so a thing is happening.
Right.
What is it?
What is this?
Yeah.
So anyway, we got way off on topic on this one.
I mean, maybe not though. Maybe Ezekiel was seeing some, skydiving zombies. It's just as likely.
Sure.
It's just as likely as what he's claiming he saw.
Or some really rare, phenomenon, like weather phenomenon.
That's true.
That would be more likely in my mind.
That's what I think.
Because he kept referring to lightning, and I'm like, okay, so you saw something really weird,
and it made your eyes flash, which can happen. Like when you see a really bright lightning, and you can see like several different lightnings fork into each other.
Yeah.
Your eyes, it'll be like you just looked at the sun and your eyes will like...
Yeah, you will have impressions of light and stuff like that are going to be there. And
you can't see correctly after that. Like that's happened to me before. So who knows
I'm
what the fuck.
I'm thinking really weird weather phenomenon. That's what I'm thinking happened here.
And
if anything happened at all, like if we're assuming that this actually happened and this just isn't all a lie.
Right.
It was something weird weather phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's all.
I wonder if there's a way to like trace storms. Like
no,
that would
not from like 2,000 years ago.
I know. I'm just like, man, if we could like trace weather like that though, to find out what kind of shit was happening. Like I know you could track like meteor showers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Right.
But not just lightning storms.
No, not just lightning storms.
I know. I'm thinking out loud. So
okay. All right.
I was just like, that would be cool to be like, no, this thing happened there, and that's what he saw.
No, but we can say what's more likely. Was it a weather phenomenon, or was it fucking what he described here?
A god.
The more likely is that it was a weather phenomenon. Because that's just that was just described to us here in the Bible.
That's weird.
That's fucking nutty.
It's weird. Like, what an odd configuration of items to smash together.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
I mean, he's probably been inundated. If he was going to be a prophet, he's probably been inundated.
No, he was going to be a minister. He got tapped to be a prophet.
Regardless, he's spent his whole life being in the religious world of that time. So he's been inundated with imagery and beliefs and things like that. And then he sees something weird, and he's going to attribute weird things to it.
Facts.
That's what I think probably, if this happened, is what happened. So anyway,
I agree with you, obviously.
Do you have any more little tidbits to share with us before we get out of here?
I kind of want to read that book, but that's about it.
But we're not going to read that book on air. So.
No. No.
So
I did add it to my Goodreads. I want to read this book list.
There you go. All right, so that was Ezekiel Chapter 1.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means we will be back tomorrow with...
Ezekiel Chapter 2.
Ezekiel Chapter 2. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep. We have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.